technical issues with things, so we are live. Hey, Roz. How are
Hello,
you? Are you
hi.
excited? I'm bricking it,
First
me.
ever guest. I feel really honoured and special.
First ever. Like, look at me having my own little interviewing
I know.
type thing.
It's like an audience with Sarah Cardwell.
I know. Well, I was just thinking, and I do want people to know, but even when I chatted to you before, I want people to know more about what started you in the first place. So we'll go through a few bits and pieces, but even I've never really asked you about those things when I was chatting to you earlier. Hi, everybody. Hi, Mindy. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Gemma. Hi, Amy. So lots of you guys coming on. Do pop any questions in the chat. That's absolutely fine. So, Roz, tell us a little bit about you. For anybody who doesn't know anything about you, tell us about you.
About me. So I am a mum of 3. My children are grown up, 22.
No, is it?
19 and 15. Happily
Wow.
married. Been with my husband for 21 years in April.
Get Johnny on the plane hashtag.
Yes, and I am just a multitasking ninja.
Multitasking ninja, yes, because you do have, which we're going to go on to, multiple businesses and multiple things that you're passionate about. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you most was because before you, I'd never even come into sort of the thought of real personal development and some of the stuff that you've genuinely made a massive difference in my life. So let's do some of the simple ones first. Describe yourself in 3 words.
In 3 words, determined.
Yep.
Impatient.
Yep.
And creative.
See, I'm the first 2. I just miss out on the last one because
that's like a tough thing to try and describe yourself. But yeah,
it is. I'm not creative, and that's why I love that we work together anyway, because you are so creative and you do. So take me back to what life was like before Rosie's craft, because what were you doing? Did you have a job? What was life like?
So I was in retail. I worked in retail management. So I was a supervisor and children's wear manager. I've worked for River Island. I've worked for New Look. I've worked for Next. I did a lot of their visual merchandising. The thing with retail is it's late nights and weekends, and it was something that when I had the kids that I wanted to get away from. I wanted to be there at the weekends. I didn't want to work while 8:30 at night. So I trained to be a special needs teaching assistant. So I did that. And also when they were really young, I went on a course and learned how to do all, kinds of like nail extensions. I used to do that mobile at night. So yeah, I've had a few little like kind of sidelines around my job. But yeah, teaching was something that I went into the special needs teaching, classroom support, and I looked at becoming a teacher, but then it was like the time and everything involved. Whereas being a teaching assistant, a support, in the classroom, I could still get all the fun and the of teaching, but I didn't have to take loads of marking home every night. I didn't have to deal with Ofsted and everything like some of my teacher friends do. So yeah, I had the best of both worlds.
And is that coming to use, Phil? Hi everybody, we've got loads coming on now. Hi Jess. Is that coming to use, Phil, over the lockdown period while you've been homeschooling Elle?
Well, no, because I taught nursery and infants, so it's like key stage 1. Obviously Ella is GCSE, and it's just the way that they do maths and everything now is so compared to that.
Guess who's on? He's a secondary school teacher in maths, and I'm just like, I have to mess with questions all the time. Like, Millie's got asked this. Is this genuinely what they're asking kids at their age? It's like,
it blows my mind. So yeah, I can do phonics, and the little smaller words. But when you get into like maths, no, that's definitely not my department.
No. So tell me how you go from doing that to setting up Rosie's craft shop.
So that started when I was working years and years ago. So when Ella, I've always been quite creative. I always liked making things, sewing. I used to do cross stitch years ago. And I always liked making different things. And when I had Ella, I ended up with postnatal depression. So it was just something, the crafting was just something that was like an escape for me.
Yeah.
It was just something where I could kind of lose myself and not think about, am I a good mom? Am I juggling the kids all right? Am I managing to do all this? So I just started making things. I started making little clips for the dummies, key rings, hair bows.
Is that what you started? Little clips for the dummies?
Yeah, so this is like 15 years ago. So I started making that, and I just found that it was just something that was just for me, that I enjoyed doing, and it took my mind off it. I never for one minute had any intention of setting a business up in it. And then as Ella got older and I was working at Next, people would see me out and about with Ella in the pram. Where did she get that from? Where did she get that bow from? Where did she get those clips from? So then I started making them for friends. And it got to the point where I was like, somebody every week was asking me. And I thought, I could actually maybe start doing this a little bit just to earn. If it just gives me like an extra, £50 a week, that'd be quite nice to treat myself and the kids. So I set up an eBay store. So when I ordered my ribbon, I would order extra, and then I would sell half of it, so that basically what I was using kind of paid for itself. So I remember sometimes it was like 2:00 in the morning, and Johnny and me were making clips and dummy clips and key rings, and he's like, Ros, this is actually, you're doing really well.
He has always been so supportive.
He has, honestly, he has been an incredible support to me, and there's no way I could have done what I've done without him there. So as we were talking, we realised that the supply side of it was a faster turnover of money and better use of time than making it. So when we looked at it from like a business point of view, it made more sense to increase the supply side and then just make as and when I did. And that's kind of how it happened. So I remember it got, obviously once you start selling and there's a whole like in the revenue and legal thing, I was absolutely terrified. I was like, I'm going to have to pay tax. I'm going to make, So I got in touch with an accountant, and we, went through everything. And so that's why I set up. And it was originally called, I think it was called 3 Little Cupcakes or something like that after the kids. And then it ended up being, the supply side ended up being Cupcake Crafts. So I kind of like separated it. And then I remember people saying, I thought you sold cake decorating tools. So I was like, I never even thought about a business name, but really I should kind of look into a business side of it. So then I had to research and learn about branding and learn about marketing and choosing a name. So I would just make and sell what was made. But then, we went into the supply side of it. But because I did it that way, I didn't need any business startup loan. I didn't have any huge outgoings, because when I sold, I just reinvested and ordered more stock and just built it up that way. So from 3 boxes of clips and ribbons and beads, I have built a really successful business. Just
an incredible business in your backyard, literally. Because I remember the first time, we never knew each other before that well, but I always said to you, I remember that day you said the shed's coming today, or the unit. And then you had 2 units in, you've got a decent sized garden, but you've got 2 units where you have staff that are packing. You have reels and reels of the most stunning fabrics. Like, how does that feel, having staff on the property?
Do you know, it makes me feel really proud. It's something that's been as well in the family. So Johnny's always helped me with it, and we started in the dining room. We turned it into the kids' playroom. So half of it was for them, and then half of it was what I ran the business from. And then as it grew, I moved into the conservatory. And I remember packing in the summer, and it was absolutely roasting, and I'm literally in a vest and shorts, really like dripping, because it is so hot trying to pack in this. But it was just getting bigger and bigger. So I looked at, renting premises and all the additional expenses and commitment that takes. And then I just said, you know what, why don't we look at getting an outdoor office or a workshop? So we went into all the planning everything we needed for that, and that's what we did. So we are really lucky where we live. We've got quite a good space at the back, as you've seen. So we now have 2 huge workshops on there that are just wall to wall fabrics, ribbons, craft supplies.
If you ever get chance, people, when we are out of lockdown, to go and look, it is literally like, for anybody, because I'm not a crafter, but I walk in and I'm just like, everything I see, I'm like, that could make that could make that. So it must be like your dream to go in there and just look at that stunning.
It is, and especially because I am a crafter and I've always kept up the crafting side of it. So whereas I can see like my customers have to order something, whereas my customers have to order something, if I'm making something and I've literally need like a fat coat in that fabric, I can just pop up, and get it. But it is kind of like my happy place to be. We're a stockist for Sizzix, we're a stockist for Liberty. So to just, it does make me really proud that we've built it kind of as a family, because the kids have both worked here as well. We've done it as a family. But also it makes me really proud, but also I just absolutely love the whole craft side of it. So it never feels like a job.
And I just think, what was it then that made you just go for it? And was there a point in which you were just like, I've done a business, I've launched a brand new business? Was there a moment or?
Yeah, I think I remember when I was teaching, I covered for a year in Ella's class for a teaching assistant that was off. And I remember getting up at 6, packing orders, going to teach, coming home on the lunchtime, packing orders, going back. And I was also at Next as well. And I remember thinking, I am working 4 hours a day at Next to earn this much when I can put those 4 hours into my business and be in charge of what I earn. And I think that was kind of the turning point. I remember, obviously we're in a position where Johnny was working, so it wasn't so much pressure on me, but it's still, again, a risk to take. And obviously, we have joint accounts for the bills and things, but to then give up my guaranteed income to take a chance on something but it's, like Johnny says, but we're packing orders till 2:00 in the morning. You'd be better here than at Next. So yeah, it was very scary. I remember like handing me notice in, and some of the girls that I worked with, I'm still friends with now, and they were just like, oh my gosh, good luck. I've loved, to see, they've seen me build it. So yeah, it was a scary thing to do. It always is scary, change and taking that leap of faith. But I think I just believed that, do you know what? I can do this. It took me a long time and a lot of work on myself to develop that confidence to think, do you know what? What's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work, I'll go and apply for another job.
And this is what you've taught me for a long time about a lot of things. And that's what I wanted to come on to next was, where did your passion for working on yourself come from, or from starting to do personal development? Because one of the things I've learned is, when I remember hearing about personal development, I was that person who thought they were like the self-help books in the library where people went to if you were a proper cuckoo. Now, as we know, I've been down that road anyway, so I would be very well qualified. But what you taught me about it was how wide that range is. So what got you into sort of personal development and stuff in the first place?
So when I went through my postnatal depression, it triggered some earlier issues that I'd maybe not dealt with. So I had to go and see a psychologist, and I went through a couple of treatments, but one of them was an EMDR treatment. And I remember—
What's that stand for again?
Electromagnetic. It's something to do with reprogramming the signals in your brain. So a lot of PTSD sufferers have it. And I remember seeing this psychologist and having this EMDR therapy, and the doctor prescribed me a book. So I had to go to the library with the doctor's prescription and get this book. And I remember trying to read it, and I thought, I just don't understand it. It's like reading the yellow pages. It made no sense to me. So I thought, surely there must be another way that I can learn and read without this particular kind of book. So I started looking into the self-help books. At first, I think people think, oh, it's a bit, like a voodoo thing. But so I started looking, and I asked my psychologist, gave me a couple of good books. And the thing that did it for me was my other doctor said to me, when I was having really bad anxiety issues, he said, read the book, feel the fear, and do it anyway. And I read that book, and it was just like 100 light bulbs went off. And I thought, this is a book I can understand. This is a book I can get behind. And I know that I was reading the book and I was kind of like practicing the things it said in the book. And I was starting to see a difference. So then it was like, what other books like this? How can I learn about this? So then I found out a bit more about what self-development is and what personal development is and mindset. So as I started looking and researching and speaking to other people that had read those books, that's when I mean, you've seen my Audible. There's about 300 books on it.
I'll never catch you up on Audible.
That I read. But then I started learning about it. And obviously when with the business, I'm thinking, how am I going to grow my customer base? How am I going to reach more people? So then I started looking at those kind of books. And that's when I really kind of learned the power of, having that knowledge and going out there and looking for those books. You're not going to connect with every book or every type of podcast or YouTube, but finding something that you can understand, that you can relate to, and really putting into practice those things that you learn. And it's something that I will always, always recommend to everybody. And it's something that I will always do. I know sometimes if I've kind of slipped off it for a week or two, I'm like, oh,
don't you? And
let's just circle back and let's just make sure I'm working on that.
Some of the books you've recommended to me have been amazing, but I know we've both got, controversial this weekend after he's left his TV show, but me and you, it's the one time I introduced you to something which is like my proudest moment with Aunt Middleton, and we were meant to go and see him last November, so hopefully we'll be seeing him this year. But it's those kind of books for me. It's the ones that aren't the typical ones. It's the ones where you learn. You've just read, is it Tyson Fury's as well?
Yeah, Tyson Fury's autobiography. And he talked a lot about his mindset and his, personal development. At the minute, I'm just rereading Ronnie O'Sullivan's Running. So Ronnie O'Sullivan, obviously the snooker player, he talks in that about, his struggles with mental health and how he overcomes them. And, and these, you can learn from, you can learn from every kind of book. I'm very jealous. But and sometimes I will go back and revisit books. I will go and read them again or listen to them again. And I think it is just not necessarily the typical ones that you would think.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to read that one. So what would you say one of the best books that you've read recently, sort of, to recommend to people who maybe have never contemplated getting into mindset or personal development? What's a good one to start with?
I think I really liked Aunt Middleton's Fear Bubble.
Yes.
I think that was a really good one for those that are maybe a bit nervous about taking those steps to make those changes. I think that was a really good one. The Secret is a huge favorite of mine. Yeah. I love The Secret and the whole law of attraction. And Gabrielle Bernstein has wrote a couple about like the universe has your back. So that's a really good one, because that's a bit more about looking at, what kind of you put yourself forward in the world, and are you coming from a positive place? Are you coming from a negative place? And another good one is Bethany Frankel's A Place of Yes. And that's an old book, but it's very much about coming from a place of yes, rather than can't I do it? It's coming from that place of yes, coming from that, where you can build your confidence. And that's another favorite of mine. But I think depending what I'm going through or what I'm working on at the minute, there's kind of books that always help support that. So there are a few of my current favorites.
Love them. And we can't obviously not talk about the Body Shop at Home. So with all this going on, with a successful business, parenting 3 kids, everything else, coming up to 2.5, nearly 3 years ago, you took up Rosie.
Nice, isn't it?
Looks lovely. What did make you think, I'll throw something else into the equation. Like, did you not have enough on?
Do you know, I remember when my starter kit came and Johnny said to me, what on earth is that? When are you going to have the time to sell that? And I was like, oh, I'm not going to sell it. I just wanted it for me. So I was scrolling on Facebook and I was in Stevie's customer group, and she'd just joined the Body Shop and she'd done a live and she'd opened a kit. And I remember sat there thinking, you literally get everything in that box for that much. There's got to be a catch. Yeah. So I messaged her and I'm like, how on earth did you get all that? And she's like, no, it's the starter kit. There's no commitment. If you get it and you don't want to do it, that's it. And I'm like, but have you got to send your products back? No. Have you got to pay them any money though? No. But is that not one of them like catches? Is that not like a scam? No. She's like, it's genuine. And I knew Stevie and I trusted Stevie. Yeah. So I was like, don't come chasing me or adding me to all these groups because I'm literally just want the kit and I might put my own orders in for my own discount. So I remember the kit came and I was like, oh, it's coming, Johnny's here and I've got to explain this. So I opened the box and then he's like, oh, you're never going to have time to sell it. But Kimberly was with me as well and she was only 17 at that point. And we were looking through the products and I was like, literally, I got all this for, you know, what it were. So then as I was using the products and then we've got the catalogues in it. So I was like, oh, there's a few things here. I'm going to order them on my own personal discount.
Order all these, yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember my mum came round and she was asked, oh, get me one of them, get me one of them, get me one of them. And then my friend was like, oh, I'll have one of them, one of them. So I put an order in and I thought, how have I just sold like £170 worth of this stuff when I've not done anything? So I got this big kind of like shout out, well done, you've reached your first level. And I was like, what is this kind of like shout out and celebration? And being a business owner in my own business, there is no recognition. There is nobody that says, do you know what, you've done really well on your sales this month, well done, your sales,
you've sold loads this week, Rod.
Yeah, you know, well done, you've reached so many new customers. The better I do, all I get is a bigger tax bill. I don't get anybody sending me balloons or flowers or pom-poms or anything. And I think it was just that bit of recognition or that kind of like pat on the back, that well done. And not only that, but how many people underneath Stevie's post were saying, well done, that's amazing, that's incredible. And all of a sudden it's like, these women I don't even know and these men I don't even know are literally so happy for me that I've achieved this level. Yeah. So then I thought, well, there's 4 of these levels. Let's have a go.
I'll get them and then I'll go. Yeah. I'll not do any more after that.
You know, 2 people said, oh, I want that kit, what you've got. So I signed them up, figured out how to do that. And then 3 weeks later, I've got my first career plan promotion, which gives me the monthly bonus as well as my commission when I reached that first level. And I was like, actually, this could be something. And I remember reading through the career plan and looking at these fast track bonuses and these car allowance and the holidays and thinking, yeah, but only the people at the top get that. Only them people who know loads of people. Only them people that can sell loads get all that.
So where did we go after 4 months, Ross?
And yeah, and then after that, I was like, wow, actually, it can be achieved by somebody just little old me who's just a normal, regular person, can achieve those things that seem so out of reach when I started.
I know. And then a few months later, we were off to Barbados, paid for by the Body Shop.
Yeah, and a trip to Barbados, which that trip, I think, was one of the really big turning points for me. It was like, it just felt so surreal. And I was like, helping these people achieve what I've achieved and being spoiled by the company in this 5-star Crystal Cove hotel in Barbados.
It was
stunning. I just thought, do you know what? This is definitely ticking my box. And I thought, while ever I'm enjoying it, I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm still enjoying it 2.5 years later.
Amazing. And so am I. So just before you get off, you were on this is one of the things, and I meant to ask this earlier, you were on the telly with your crafting. So tell us about that, because I remember you ringing me on your way. I remember I can never say the name of the TV channel, but we watched
Hochanda.
it live. What was it?
Hochanda.
Yeah. And then obviously you were
That
going to
actually
go again.
stands
Then
for something. It stands for
lockdown.
something like hobbies and craft, hobbies over craft, something arts. Yeah, so it actually stands for something. So yeah, I got an email from a girl called Sammy, and she was like, we've stumbled across your website, we really love the look of your products, we've found your YouTube channel, because obviously in there I create tutorials to teach customers how to make products. She's like, we found your YouTube channel, we'd really love to have a chat and look at you becoming a supplier and coming on our show. So at first I was like, oh, that's never gonna, that's like a big scam email. So I gave the number a ring, and yeah, so I went down to have a meeting with them. So we talked about what they wanted from me, and obviously what I do for my business, and went through the whole like negotiations of, you know, fees and things and percentages that they wanted. So yeah, we kind of just came up with a deal.
And you had like your little, it was like selling your stuff through the channel, wasn't it?
So they wanted me to go on and demonstrate my products that they would then sell through their website, and I would basically teach their audience, their viewers, how to make those things with those products. So yes, it was a very scary. I think it was a huge thing for us to happen. It was to be found, if you like, to be selected and approached, it was kind of like, oh, it's, you know, really exciting. And I remember the TV show was booked for the end of January. If you remember, we decided to go for a region in February.
Yes, so, that was sensible.
So the biggest promotion ever of my life, and they'd scheduled my show date at the end of January. So I remember like being so nervous, and went down to the studios, and for a full hour, and it was live on Sky. And it is actually still recorded to my hard drive, and it was just,
it's still recorded to mine.
It was the most amazing experience ever. And they said, can you come and do regular shows? And I was like, yeah. But obviously, as the Body Shop's grown, I've kind of had to,
it's a balance, isn't it?
Balance it, you know. So, and with lockdown and everything, a lot of the shows are being done from home anyway. So it's something that I've kind of parked, and I will revisit. But at the minute, I've just had to juggle it. But yeah, so that was amazing exposure for us.
And I love that. And then I'm going to finish with a couple of standard type questions. But one of them was actually asked when I asked if anybody got any questions. And in either business, you can use this. Have you ever felt like giving up? And if you have, how do you get through that?
I have felt like giving up many times in both businesses. So in the craft business, when you come up against the competitive suppliers against each other, kind of, you know, wherever you get women on a huge scale, there's often sometimes, you know, things like that. And then
all lovely, nice people all of the time is what you mean, isn't it?
When you send an order out the next day and Royal Mail take ages to deliver, and you're on the receiving end of that, you know, many things like that. And obviously going through this whole COVID and Brexit thing is hard work.
Brexit, because you were telling me about the
so the new
and everything,
really important, is another headache. So yeah, and then with the Body Shop, I've wanted to quit many times when I've felt really frustrated that where things are going, or maybe I'm not getting where I want to be as fast, or I'm trying something and it's not working, or those days where you just feel, I've just had enough, I just cannot go on, I cannot do this anymore. And I think those are the days that you really have to dig deep and kind of reconnect with why you do what you do. Yeah. So when I get them on Roses, I remember all of the amazing things that's done for my life and my family. And I think, do you know what? I can just turn the computer off, and tomorrow's a new day, and I'll deal with all that tomorrow. Yeah. And then like with the Body Shop, you know, it can be frustrating, you know, if we're having stock issues, or if, you know, somebody's left that you really care about, or this has happened. It's just, sometimes you just have to remember a bad day doesn't make a bad life. And I think that's the time you need to walk away and just group your thoughts back together.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe put a good book on, make a cup of tea, and think, do you know what? I'll turn my phone off for a couple of hours. Nobody's going to die. And I'll go back to it. And those are also the times I think that shape you as well. Because I know these things now that 18 months ago would have really made me want to quit. But now I'm like, do you know what? I got through it before. I'm going to get through it again.
And I think the personal development helps with that in your mindset, because you do strengthen it. It's like a muscle. You're working it and growing it and building it all the time.
Yeah, and the more that you do that, the more consistent you are with it. Sometimes it's almost like you don't dip as far. You start to recognize, like I've said to you, actually, whoa, this is starting to get on top of me. Now is the time, kind of, I need to have some time away, or I need to look at what I can do. But you recognize those signs sooner. And then also imagine if I'd have quit the first time I wanted to quit. I remember when you joined and we were having a nightmare with your application, and you were like, do you know what? I'm not doing it.
Back in the paper days where you had to like sign up and send your driving license and your bank card.
And imagine if you would have just left it at that, not sending that application in.
Yeah, I think I messaged you and said, I don't think this is for me. It's a sign.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I know she'd be really good at it. I know it'd help her.
So finishing off then, what is the hardest bit of being a business owner, and what is the best bit of being a business owner?
The hardest bit is not letting it take over your life.
Yeah.
To not let it get carried away, to deal with all of the things, the legalities and the logistics of things, and just the fact that you can never phone in sick. You can never just say, I'm not working this week, because it is ultimately you. That's probably
you can not work, but you just don't get any bills paid and you don't eat. So yeah,
your customers still need a reply. Yeah, so that not being able to completely 100% take a break is the hardest. The best bit is I'm in control of my time. I'm in control of my day. I'm in control of my income. I'm in control of, where it goes, the direction it goes in. I'm not working for somebody else. I'm working for me. And if I want to go on holiday, I can put things in place so that I can take that week's holiday. I don't have to ask anybody for any time off.
Negotiate around everybody else in the office.
I don't have, holidays. It doesn't matter if Betty's already booked first week of January and Sally's booked second week. I can have all of January, and it's just that being in control and that time freedom. If, one of the kids has got a school play or a parents' evening, that's the priority and that comes first. And I don't have to get anybody to cover. I don't have to ask anybody. And that, for me, that independence and that freedom is the best thing.
I was just going to say the same. It's the freedom. It's the choices. There's difficult choices, but it's that freedom to just go. And I think as well, in times when I've been at work, where I've been not particularly asked to do something I hate, but just something I just don't want to do, then now I have to think to myself, do I need to do that from a business? And sometimes I will still have to do stuff I don't need, but if I don't, just don't do it. It's like the best feeling.
It is. And also, so I remember when I was working at Next, and there was like a 7 a.m. shift where you had to do all the scan, and I was just like, oh. But that was one of the things I did not like, but it got the day out. But if I don't want to do it, like you say, you can avoid it. But also, if it's a job that it's a really rubbish job that you don't enjoy doing, it's better to do that job for yourself than for somebody else. You're more, you might not want to do it, but at least you're doing it for your own business. You're not doing it for somebody else's.
Yeah, as opposed to some, in the nicest way, CEO that's, ultimately going to get everything. You become your own CEO, don't you? You are that person.
That's
it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I've right enjoyed it. There's loads of comments. Lots of people going through. Bev saying how inspiring you are. Kayleigh saying, Ros, you really are so inspiring. Ellie talking about she's having the same therapy at the moment, the EMDR.
Yeah.
Lots of people loving Tyson Fury. Mindy talking about things, maths, secondary school teaching. There's absolutely loads. So huge thank you for joining me and being my very first guest. Next week, we've got Heather Griffins, who is a friend I've met from Buffalo, who is a personal trainer. Hopefully, she'll be able to inspire me to do something along those
tuning lines. In. Yep.
Yeah, tune in and see what she's got. She's just launched a new clothing brand, so she's popping on. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.